Welcome everyone. My name is Vijender Yadav. I am the CEO at Accops Systems. Accops is a product company with VDI, ZTNA Gateway, and MFA products, delivering a comprehensive work from anywhere solution. I'm excited to host this fireside chat today on the topic of innovations triggered by adversity, supported by Made in India solutions. I have with me two eminent guests today. First is Mr. R.S. Mani from National Informatics Center. He is Deputy Director General there. NIC is the organization under Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. He has led several path-breaking projects for India over the course of his illustrious career of 35 years, including applications like Arogya Setu, NKN, and NIC Cert. The second guest with me is Mr. Praveen Ram. He's the AGM IT and HR at Bharat Biotech. He has been very instrumental in driving the digital transformation initiatives for core IT infrastructure and IoT preparedness at Bharat Biotech. And his work in quality management functions at Bharat Biotech has enabled a distinct perspective of the core business operations and pivotal role IT could play as an enabler. Now we know COVID pandemic is no doubt one of the biggest challenges the world has ever witnessed, and it has done a great deal of damage to individuals and countries and economies. But on the positive side of things, it has also ignited a radically new thought process, for businesses around catalyzed digitization, fostered innovation, and fueling self-reliance. Now, both of our guests today are part of institutions which have personified resilience, innovation, self-reliance, and every other quality that the pandemic has demanded to be successful. So my first question is to Mr. Mani, that NIC has played a very pivotal role in keeping the government functioning during pandemic. Now, what were your key challenges in making that happen? Both in terms of technology adoption and the policy, and also when everything is running over internet and there is hyper digitization that is happening. What were some of your top cybersecurity risks that you were faced with?
Yeah, thank you, Vijender, and thank you, Praveen. I would start with the background on NIC. NIC is an organization that provides the complete backbone network services to the government of India. So it goes across the country to various districts, about 730 districts, and all the state centers. So fundamentally, it is the backbone which connects every department to the network and then provides various services. Again, the services are divided into two or three classes. One is the intranet services, which are normally available only from the seats of the officers wherever they are. And the second one is basically for the public for dissemination and various other citizen-centric applications which are put into our data centers, which are across the country. These are the national data centers and state data centers, which serves the public. And NIC at the same time also provides consulting and various application development for the government. Now, during the pandemic, the first thing was to make sure what is it that is immediately required so that during the lockdown, all the officers who are at home are able to do their job from home as if they are doing it from office. So the first thing was to make the intranet open up to the internet from home, and the users or the officers could log in and probably get into the system and do all those as if they were doing it from office. So that is a very big challenge because from the office, we have a set environment. We have the computers, which are basically controlled computers. They got all those agents sitting in there to ensure that nothing goes wrong in those computers. As well as we had a stationary IP so that we know exactly who is coming in with the username and the password. So that also acted as a kind of a extra thing for us to make sure that the user is actually what he is. So these were some simple things that were happening in the office in the past. The second category of users were those who were administering the routers and data centers, etc. So of course, they were a little trained to work from home also because they were required for 24/7 operations. So that was a slightly easier thing to do. But still, there were certain assets which were not open up from home. So the challenge is how to make sure this 24/7 service continues and the government continues to deliver the services to the citizen. So these were some of the challenges which finally, one has to somehow come up with a technological solution to make sure that these are so easy to use, so that the officers really don't need a new training manual or some kind of videos, etc. So they should be like, it is more intuitive in nature, and they are able to work from home without any too much of training. Plus it should be secure enough. So these are challenges which we faced during the pandemic. Apart from that, one of the responsibilities that was given to us was to make sure how do we manage this COVID pandemic in terms of some apps or using some technology. So we had a PPP model by which we had to start the project called Arogya Setu in 15 to 20 days time, so that it actually manages the pandemic using Bluetooth contact tracing. So these were some of the challenges when we talk about such an app. Rolling out such an app in 20 days or 30 days, you need to first of all make sure that all coders are together, they're able to work on a collaborative platform. Second, you have to make sure that the security testing and the performance testing, etc., all are done in such a way that we don't fail when probably 200 million, 300 million people start using that. So these were some of the challenges to make sure 24 cross 7 services are on. These were all really plaguing us during the pandemic. And and a lot of innovative solutions were found out, and probably we tried to change the way we work, and we could adjust to this so that on day one of the lockdown itself we could do some things.
Right, sir. So definitely would like to hear more, on that. But before, let me go to Bharat Biotech. So, Mr. Praveen, Bharat Biotech is now a global brand, right? Covaxin is definitely on everybody's mind today, and it helped India achieve the unimaginable goal of vaccinating billion people, right? And needless to say that Bharat Biotech is the North Star for companies and startups trying to build innovative products from India. And during this journey, you and the organization must have faced a lot of unique challenges in creating this innovative product, as well as rolling out at that scale, right? So can you put some light on some of the unique challenges that you faced, specifically where IT played a major role?
Thank you, Vijender. Thanks for having me on here. Mr. Money, good to be here with you. Vijender, the pandemic presented a lot of challenges for everybody. For us, the challenges were multifaceted. It first started with people, right, bringing them back to work, physically, because unlike other industries, we are into research, manufacturing. So that once we were able to get past that, the actual challenges actually came to the fore. One of the first ones that we saw is that we needed to collaborate with regulators, scientists, the government, many entities, suppliers, right? And that was where the first challenge, we saw required us to ramp up some collaboration software and solutions. But once we were past that, we realized that the challenge is even bigger, because we are a very, very document intensive, data intensive, industry. We have to be able to demonstrate that all quality parameters were actually um, met before a product is safe enough, right? And that's where there was a very, very sudden increase for IT infra. So there was a need to scale up now. And that's where I think, I'll give you guys credit. Accops was able to actually help us scale up very, very quickly, right? So as we were hiring, or as we were getting more people into functions that required, this infra, we were able to scale proportionately, right, without a hitch. We were able, and we also required to establish, given the scale and the volume of manufacturing that was happening, we had to establish remote sites for storage of raw materials, finished products, intermediates, right? And there was a need for obviously having all the people working at these remote locations to be plugged into our main infra, to be able to access the solutions systems that we had. And that's where we were able to scale up seamlessly, deploy, see the benefits of scale up, security, everything, right? But one of the other issues when we did this was security, cyber security. I mean, it was in the news, public domain information. Pharma and life science and companies in India were under severe threats, from external entities, and that's where I think the government, including NIC, certain, they really came to the fore. They assisted us to evaluate where we stood vis-a-vis the risks that they were also seeing. And for us, the main intent was to protect our IP, right? So here, I think the threat perception was not that we would experience, um, you know, uh, malware, or that we would experience ransomware, right? Because we knew that we would be able to recover very, very quickly. I think the problem was about exfiltration of our IP, right? And the weakest link actually comes from the human component. And I think both the NIC and the other supporting government entities, Accops, really actually supported us through this journey, right? Understanding our risks, recognizing how we could mitigate them, and then have solutions in place to achieve it, right? So that's essentially the biggest this one. And of course, once the product was ready, you needed a very, very robust system for equitable distribution of vaccines, and that's very, very important, given the spread of the economic spread and affordability that exists in our country. Many people may not have access to vaccines very easily if it was left open in the market, right? If you allow market forces to drive procurement. So I think the government stepped in. You had the COVID app, the Arogya Setu app, to track people, to track exposure, to pre-register for your vaccines. And I think and there's many more strategies that are actually being built on solutions from NIC. Actually, that's in public domain. Some upcoming trials. My chairman has spoken about it recently. Seeing how the data and the function on COVID and Arogya Setu can actually be leveraged for furthering science.
Right. It's fantastic to hear the kind of collaboration that a private company could have with the government institutions and deliver such a fantastic product. Arogya Setu itself was a very, very nice surprise, right, from the government in handling vaccination at that large scale. So, Mr. Mani, you spoke about those challenges, right? And Arogya Setu was definitely one of the innovation that you could do very swiftly. Can you also talk about what more innovations that NIC has been driving, and also specifically the role of the Make in India policy, right? How did that help, right? And if you could mention some of the examples there.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of effort that has gone in during this time to make sure that we create a safe and secure computing environment as well as the access environment. As you said, the Arogya Setu app, and as Praveen was mentioning about a CoWIN platform and the RT-PCR platforms and the platforms that ICMR used and the labs used, they were all developed. Most of them were developed within 15 days or 20 days time and tested for security as well as performance. It was really tough in the sense that the first thing that we wanted to start was the government should start working during lockdown. So that means the first and foremost is to give an access to an intranet protected system via internet, which was something which was not given to all levels of officers. So we started with some of the level of officers who are extremely important and critical for the system so that they can start working from home. So there are two challenges again. One, the authentication and authorization. Second is how easy it is for someone to use that system. So we found that there are lots of solutions available, but these solutions are typically they have a way of working and it is quite rigid in nature in the sense that you can't go and just keep changing things as per your wish. Though the system is slowly changing towards software driven and API driven, and a lot of freedom given to the users to write their own code to make it much more friendly and usable. However, Because we were using a Make in India tool, we could get all these things done in no time. We just used about 3 days time. We got everything done, stitched to our requirements, stitched to the way we authenticate people, stitched to the way we do a multi-factor authentication. So all this was done, and we started immediately with 50,000 users and slowly moved on to about 200,000 users. So when we do this, since that's the first time we are allowing such a big user base to come into our intranet, I think our team in cybersecurity spent 24 cross 7 just looking at various logs and looking at the patterns and looking at from where people are accessing and what is their timing. And the typical pattern of a bell curve from, let's say, 9:30 or 10 in the morning, which ends up at around 6:30 in the evening, what we saw was that this bell curve was going in from morning 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and suddenly it comes down and then again goes up till evening 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And the reason is people work from home. So people work at whatever time space that they get, they keep on clearing their files and things like that. So it made our life of looking at patterns also very difficult. So that was one of the challenges. So some of the guys who wrote nice ML algorithms to make sure that we could really see and identify folks who are authorized and folks who are trying to imitate and get into the system. So this was actually addressed very well with our the web VPN solution. And being a web-based stuff, people knew how to use it. It was very user friendly, and most of the online help, etc., was given. So in such a way that one need not fear about the toughness of that product or usage of that product. So that was one great thing that we achieved in that, using the Make in India product, which we could immediately talk to the owners and to the developers, and everyone worked 24 cross 7 to give us that. The second thing was about Arogya Setu. And Arogya Setu, again, we had worked with a lot of Indian startups to make sure that it is secure, because the secure coding was one of the key things, because we were using the GPS as well as the Bluetooth on that particular mobile, collecting some of the PII like mobile number, name, sex, and probably certain things like self-assessment. And these were very, very important for us to be kept in a safe custody so that no one else can actually take it away. So it was kept in an encrypted format, and of course it was put up in such a way that people could do a lot of R&D on top of the data that is available and come out with algorithms to really predict hotspots. So professors from IIT Chennai used to continuously collaborate with us and then provide those hotspots so that the administration or the district administration could immediately prevent spreading of COVID, because there were a lot of migrant laborers and things like that. So these kind of data or information has to be kept extremely secure, and there is no way we can afford to lose that. So these were some of the things which we did a lot of work on AI ML, as well as with the multiple startups of this country, and they helped us in really making sure that the product that was made are impregnable and probably most secure. So we had a wonderful VPN solution. We had a wonderful startup security solution, which went ahead and tried to penetrate, tried to do all kinds of vulnerability testing, and give us a level of confidence that when we opened up, we were not actually insecure. So we were not breached. So I'm proud to say that we did a wonderful job, and probably the complete team, including all the partners, private partners, and many startups, including NASCOM and others who helped us in doing this particular activity.
Right. So it was great to hear from you, Mr. Mani and Mr. Praveen. We are at the end of the fireside chat, and I'm really thankful to you guys to attend this talk show. Thanks, and I'm sure we can keep on creating more innovations from India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.